Drag racing fan, you know what we do on Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Between the Slicks. We talk everything drag racing. That is what we're going to be doing tonight. Look, want to hear from you, just like Waterbug85. He says hello, y'all. Hello to you, Waterbug85. And Boston chimes in and says hi. Got that beautiful Shameless Racing CUDA there in the thumbnail, in the profile picture. Ladies and gentlemen, chime in. Let's talk about drag racing. What do you want to talk about? Certainly, I've got some thoughts, got some things we're going to talk about. We're going to share some results, going to look at some points, but I want to talk about what's on your mind concerning the world of drag racing. And then later on, yes, we are going to have, I think, a great guest. We've had him on earlier this year. We're going to have him on for the Champions Edition here on Monday Morning Racer. That is Wes Distefano. He is the champion in Pro 632, Shameless Racing Pro Outlaw 632 in PDRA competition. Looking forward to having him on later tonight around 8:30. We'll have him on live and we'll chat with him and get his thoughts on the year and the results and what is in store for him, the team, 632, everything else, and your questions, obviously. Great show lined up, I think. Rob Flynn. Man, I hope you're doing well, Rob. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for saying hello. And I imagine you're flying out to Vegas. If you're not, enjoy whatever you're doing. If you're flying out there, enjoy it. Billy, thank you for chiming in. Hello to you. Drag Racing Central. Good to have you as well. He chimes in. Wes basically owns the 632 ranks right now. Yes, Wes does. I definitely am looking forward to talking to him about that because there was a period, it looked like there was going to be some battling, some competition, and then he kept slowly putting a stranglehold on the competition once again and made a clear statement that, nope, I'm still the guy in Outlaw 632. Ricky Hollywood, Rick Kopp, guys, ladies and gentlemen, he drives a jet truck, and he was on the show earlier this year. You can find that in the Between the Slicks archives. Check out Bone Shaker. Check him out there on Facebook. David, Wes is a awesome guy. I completely agree. Braden, hello to you. So before we dive in, we talk a little bit about drag racing. We want to be talking about that. Folks, chime in with your questions, your thoughts, your opinions. Opine on the great sport of drag racing. I do want to mention some recent uploads to the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. Yes, the YouTube channel. And in fact, if you're watching this on Facebook, thank you. Hit the like button, hit the share button, just like I already have. And if you're able to watch it on YouTube, that would greatly help me if you watched it there and gave it a like there, and that you subscribe to the channel. Why? Well, if you get in the habit of watching Between the Slicks there, you're going to be able to see other great content like this video from yours truly, Pro Boost full elimination video from the Galot Drag Wars, and you will be seeing more PDRA elimination coverage from that event. I've got one more video with the Extreme Pro Stock for that event, and then the PDRA elimination videos from the finals will be rolling out on Monday Morning Racer. But Monday Morning Racer also has other racing as well. You can catch the final race for the Carolina Sprint Tour, Fayetteville Motor Speedway, that happened this past weekend, and one from the summer that I just recently uploaded, Anderson Motor Speedway, and limited late models. Limited late models are certainly popular here in the Southeast. Great racing, and though there were no cautions in that race, it was door handle to door handle, and a local favorite got the win. Ladies and gentlemen, let me see what Braden's got to say. MMR should come up to Canada next year for Derby season. I want to, and I want to catch some great drag racing up there in Canada. I was able to film some Canadian drag racers. They came across the border, and they raced at Lancaster Dragway, and it was planned to have that shootout event happen at Cayuga in Toronto. Well, guess what? COVID hit, and that whole border crossing thing has been very challenging. But I would love to eventually get to Cayuga and film there and see that track for myself. And out there at I think it's Edmonton that has a track as well. And I'm sure there's many other drag strips that I am overlooking. Would love to attend F1 there in Toronto. Would love to see those type of things. Great racing happening in Canada for sure. Waterbug, he asked, any info on Tony Stewart and the team he's putting together? Well, there is no more info than what has already been discussed and put out there through the press conference that he had and through the many other press outlets that got that info. So, what does it look like? Tony Stewart Racing is adding a top fuel car and adding a funny car. Leah Pruitt, soon to be Leah Stewart, will be driving the top fueler, and Matt Hagan will be driving the funny car. As of right now, I have not heard anything on what parts they're going to be running. I assume Don Schumacher machining parts, Don Schumacher racing parts, but there is Alan Johnson Performance Engineering out there. They may very well go with them. Don't know what body the funny car is going to be. I imagine it will still remain a Dodge, yet Tony Stewart has great ties with Ford, with the NASCAR program, obviously. Who knows? We could see another Mustang out there and Matt Hagan driving a Ford, and Ford have a presence in Top Fuel with Leah Pruitt. That could happen with Tony Stewart Racing. Tony has got relationships with seemingly just about everybody in the world of motorsports. He's got contacts in F1, got contacts in IndyCar, got contacts in NASCAR. He could possibly bring in a new manufacturer. The opportunities with Tony Stewart Racing could potentially be endless. I think Tony's going to come in, he's going to establish the team, he's going to get things working right and see where to go from there. But wherever his teams go, they do win. Remember, on the NASCAR side of things, he is the first car owner and driver in that combination to win since Alan Kawickley did it. Him and Alan are the only ones to do it. Not the only ones to do it, but Alan was the last one. Tony was the last one when he won his championship in that Office Depot number 14. That was the last time for him. So no more information on Tony Stewart Racing. That is what we know as of right now. They did say in the press conference, because that was asked, like, who are your partners going to be? Tony did say, we're working on deals right now. Those deals will be solidified soon. We will make those announcements. So expect more from Tony Stewart Racing to come soon. Drag Racing Central. And ladies and gentlemen, check out Drag Racing Central, a brand new YouTube channel by Top Fuel 173. You may remember him in the comment section on many shows, and this show including. He's got a YouTube channel and talking about drag racing. I'd love to see other channels talking about drag racing popping up, talking about NHRA drag racing. There needs to be more talk about the NHRA, the PDRA, Southeast Gassers Association, so many other, Funny Car Chaos. People need to be talking drag racing. There is such a great NASCAR YouTube community. We need to build up the talking, news, storytelling community for drag racing right here on YouTube and expose the great sport of drag racing to many people and to an international audience. His question, though, we're going to talk about the USGP, NHRA, whereas our Netflix show, Social Media Sales, and F1 is proving it. Well, I agree with you. We do need to talk about that. F1. Many of you watching right now, you may not be fans of F1, but F1, Formula One, may very well be the leading motorsport as far as exposure, money, branding, marketing, so on, that is out there. You can go anywhere in the world and people know of Hamilton, People know of Michael Schumacher. People know of Senna. People know of Lauda. They know these guys, no matter where you go. And what F1 did, they had that entire series following the drivers, and I'm not a Netflix subscriber, so I have not been able to watch it, but they followed the drivers, they followed the teams, they told the story of the drama surrounding F1 and running for a championship at that level, the highest level in the world in open wheel motorsports, minus the talk of a top field dragster being an open wheeler. That's a whole nother discussion. But you've got this talk. Rob, there we go. Drive to Survive. And they portrayed it like that it was a drive to survive, that it's challenging. They showed all the drama, and they were able to catch a traumatic, but yet for ratings and eyeball appeal and gravitating and pulling people in moment with Grosjean and that terrible fire he had through the guardrail and the car splitting in half and woof, woof, engulfing in the flames and looked like a funny car on fire. And well, that all of that stuff combined, the characters, the drama, the accidents, it brought people in and gave a different way for them to have an audience and see it and be interested in what F1 was. And I think that does contribute to the crowd that was at Circuit of the Americas. The race at Austin, the last I heard, it is the second most watched F1 race in America ever. The second most far as an American audience ever. Now, on the social media point, F1 does a way better job with their social media, and they get it out through many other avenues as well, not just their own outlets, but they use other outlets. They seem to work really closely with other platforms. And if you go to their YouTube channel, tons of content. If you go to NASCAR's YouTube channel, tons of content. In fact, NASCAR, you can watch the whole race 2 or 3 days after, and you're not paying for it. It's on YouTube. And also, you're able to see extra content that isn't a part of the show. And what do I mean by that? When they go to commercial break, well, they don't cut that, but you just see an in-car camera. Also, NASCAR has experimented with this. You have a live in-car camera that you can follow along while watching the race with a driver. Branching out content, finding new sources, being creative. That's what Drag Racing Central is talking about. And for, in particular, the NHRA, I do think they need to step up. Now, I have loved here recently when they hired on the new individual to get more content, they have shown some short behind-the-scenes videos of the top end winners. Those have been great, and we need more of that. But I firmly believe they need to focus on growing the YouTube platform. And this is, Kenneth mentions NHRA.TV. Yes, NHRA.TV is out there, and you can purchase it. But me personally, I'm not a fan of NHRA.TV. And I'm a hardcore, diehard drag racing fan, and especially the NHRA. But I'm not buying it. I'm not. I look at the NHRA.TV, and I see that as a moment of you're just fleecing the fan base that much more. And when you do not put content out there, whether it's qualifying or the race in 30 like they were doing many years ago, whatever it may be, the extra content out there on YouTube, but rather you're locking it behind a paywall, which is what NHRA.TV is doing, you are removing an international algorithm pushing your content to brand new eyeballs. I see a youth movement in the NASCAR community because of YouTube. There are more people coming and gravitating towards NASCAR that are younger than ever before because of the community that has been created on YouTube. Whether toxic or not, and you want to argue that, nonetheless, because that content is there, They are having new fans coming to NASCAR. NASCAR doesn't even have to pay for it. And they're able to grow and they're able to have the next generation. I firmly believe NHRA has got to work on their content, especially on YouTube, and get more out there. If it is showing the qualifying live, figure it out and do it again. If it is showing the race a week after in its entirety, do that. NASCAR does it. Whatever's got to happen. Get more content out there and have it in the algorithm for people to search it out. Kenneth says, keep Hollyweird, that's an interesting way to put it, away from NHRA. Well, I don't want full-blown Hollywood, but the platform that is Hollywood or Hollyweird, recognize we don't need to craft a story beyond what is real. We just need the opportunity to have it go in front of other eyeballs. And for folks who are making and thinking, oh, we're fine the way we are. No, we're not. We've got to find other avenues, whether it's live streaming, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Twitter, where all these avenues, figure out how to get content out there, figure out how to get in the algorithms. And look, people will be blown away by what drag racing is. And here's an example. And it doesn't take a bunch of fighting, even though fights sell. It doesn't take a bunch of drama, though that can sell. Just tell the story of these drivers and show how remarkable it is what they're doing. I want to give you two examples. Example one from myself. I decided to do an Instagram reel. So that's the short videos on Instagram right now, kind of like a TikTok. And it is maybe 7-second reel. It's not even the full time limit. Okay. Well, I did it of a burnout of Doug Foley. The last time I checked, this Instagram reel of a burnout. That's all it is. To you and I as a drag racing fan, we love burnouts, but it's like, oh, it's a burnout. But to the rest of the world, it is just flipping awesome. And they've never seen anything like it. What is this long car with wings and big tires and smoke coming off of it and stuff coming out of the headers? What is this thing? Last time I checked, it's well over 2 million views on an Instagram platform that I've been trying to build that started with just 600 followers, and now it's well over 1,000, mainly due to that reel. Over 2 million views of a car doing a burnout. The NHRA needs to do more Instagram reels. That's what I'm saying. That's what we're saying. That has got to happen. Another point. Grosjean, he has that terrible fire. And it was a bad fire. Do not get me wrong. But when I saw his fire and the shock around the world and motorsports fans, and some motorsports fans have gotten soft. Like, I don't think we need a death in motorsports. Do not get me wrong. But people have forgotten that this is extremely dangerous, what these drivers are doing, no matter what the motorsport is. And they're just shocked at what happened to Grosjean. Oh, how could this happen? Well, there's fuel, and he hit a wall, and there's sparks. Duh, that it happened. It just hadn't happened in a long time. And it's amazing that Grosjean got out alive, and he only had the burns to his hands that he did. And if he had had better gloves, he probably wouldn't even had the burns that he did have. But that's a whole nother discussion concerning F1 and what happens in their safety equipment. But Grosjean has that fire. It's like the fire seen around the world. You've got outlets like Fox News and Sky News and the BBC. Everybody's sharing it. About 3 weeks before that, Alexis had her fire in Texas. The bad one. The big bad one. Black billowing smoke filling the sky. You couldn't even see the car in the shutdown area. I was there. I was filming from the stands. Terrible fire. That didn't get out. Somebody wasn't pushing it. somebody wasn't showing it. And it falls on the NHRA. Like, they should have sent that story to Fox News. They should have sent that story to the BBC. They should have tried to get worldwide coverage on that moment. And like, look at our drivers. Look at what this badass hot rod woman went through. And then she got back in it for round 2. That's what we need to be saying. That's the narrative. We don't need to spice it up. We don't need to not tell the truth. We don't need to create drama. The drama's already there, whether it's staging, whether it's just what these drivers are doing. I mean, you got a human being strapping into a car behind an engine that very well is going to explode and going 320 miles per hour. That's exciting enough. We just need the opportunity to tell the story. So NHRA, somebody, get it out there. Get it out there, please. It's worth saying. Let me get into some comments. Y'all been chiming in. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for chiming in. Mike, he says, we talked about that in Joe's Pit on Friday night. NHRA is missing out on free social media to get new fans. I agree. Now, that's not to knock the NHRA social media team. It's only like 2 people. That's it. I think Nikki is stretched, and they're trying to collect content. They need more people. They need more outlets. That also is why, if you look at like what the PDRA does, and I love it, they want more people to come and cover their racing. A guy like me with funky shades and a big red beard. Come on, you're media. NHRA needs more people coming in and talking about it. And they also need to get more content out there. Like, if you want to tell a story about drag racing right now, it's hard to do because sometimes you can't find the content. American Hot Rod Entertainment can tell you this. To find the clips. If I want to tell a NASCAR story right now, it's easy to do. I can go find the clips and under fair use, put it out there and create and craft that story. Drag Racing Central says they put a lot of stuff on Facebook, but no offense, young people don't use Facebook. Well, I mean, some young people do. It is the largest social media platform, period. It is. But we need to figure out a way, use Instagram Reels, use TikTok, use all these other avenues, and not just Facebook. And I argue with their Facebook usage, there's not using enough. I firmly believe, and you can see this with the Monday Morning Racer Facebook platform, you've got to hit the share button. That's a part of the algorithm. If you notice, the NHRA never shares anything. And I think they need to hit the share button, especially from the content of their teams. The teams that are putting out content and putting out good content, reward them by hitting the share button, and let's help grow everybody. American Hot Rod Entertainment, yo. Love the new late model video. Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate that. Oh, let's see. Kenneth, totally agree with this. If it was YouTube, I wouldn't miss a race. That's right. I mean, look, I love NASCAR. Love NHRA. I love all types of motorsports. But when I'm at the track, I'm obviously not going to be able to watch the NASCAR race. Well, I love how I can at work put it on in the background 2-3 days later and watch the race that just happened. And that's another source of revenue. That's another outlet beyond TV that you're able to tell to your marketer, your marketing partners, hey, we're getting 1 million views on a race after the fact. And you can use that to create another stream. Like, let's take the tape, let's do some editing, let's insert some new commercials, and there's another platform you're selling. I think it's a missed opportunity. Drag Racing Central. I mean, MMR, Monday Morning Racer, is the entire reason I found out and went to the PDRA. I think speaks for itself. That's right. Drag Racing Central, Top Fuel 173. I can remember having discussions with him about he doesn't like 8th mile drag racing. And now, after experiencing the PDRA and the professional level that is on the 8th mile, that's got a turn for him. And he saw it through my channel, and many other people have experienced something for the first time through a YouTube channel. That story and narrative is happening in so many places, especially for motorsports, especially for the NASCAR community, and I want it for the NHRA community. Dan, he chimes in, I'm the American Hot Rod TV video source. Yes, sir, you are. Thank you for what you're doing. Appreciate it. Ron says, tell it like it is. I appreciate the support. Thank you. All right, guys, look, before we bring Wes on, I was going to cover a lot more. We dove in off of that. Love talking about what it is that's on your mind. Very quickly, the California Hot Rod Reunion. That happened this past weekend for Mosa Dragway, Bakersfield, California. Drew Austin, he won in Funny Car. Dan Haran, near lane right there, won in Nostalgia Top Fuel. Randy Bradford, right there, near lane, that beautiful Fuel Altered, he won. And Ed Marks, far lane in the Corvette, won in Pro Mod. By the way, if you want to see some action from the California Hot Rod Reunion from this past weekend, make sure check out American Hot Rod Entertainment. He's got some videos, interviews from the event on his YouTube channel. So be sure, swing by there right after Between the Slicks. Well, the Summit Racing Equipment Midwest Drag Racing Series, they have wrapped up their championship battle. They ended at Extreme Raceway Park in Texas, and the championship winner in Pro Mod is Joey Oxus, or Oxus. I hope I'm saying that right. And then someone I think we're all familiar with in Top Alcohol Funny Car, Sean Bellemere, he wins it in Top Alcohol Funny Car. That's the championship for the Midwest Drag Racing Series. And that is a growing series. Keep your eye on that series. That is a growing series in the Midwest. They just added last year Top Alcohol Funny Car, and more Top Alcohol Funny Car guys are continuing to move that way. They love going and racing there. Keep your eye on that series. They got a great series going on in that part of the world, in the part of the country, in the Midwest. Before I bring Wes Distefano on, let's take a look at the PDRA points for Shameless Racing Pro Outlaw 632. Obviously, the championship winner, Wes Distefano, you see him there with 3,770 points. And second was Daryl Stewart with 3,117 points. So, effectively, you've got Wes with a 600-point lead, more than that actually, 600-plus points over second place. He put a good old-fashioned whipping on them. Everybody loves to talk about Jim Halsey, and rightfully so, but we should talk about Wes Distefano in the same sentence, I think, when it comes to the domination in the door slammer world. So, we're going to be bringing him on in just a few moments. Let me wrap up with your comments. Drag Racing Central Turbo Car winning a championship in 2021. Well, man, look, the NHRA might have been able to find something. Talked about this with Lyle Barnett Tuesday night on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Everybody loves to bark when it seems like everything is one-sided, but they might have struck on the parity, at least in Texas, with those particular conditions. You had a number one qualifier that was a nitrous car in Tricky Ricky Smith. And when you went into the semifinals, you had every combination represented. And the finals was won by Lyle Barnett over a Pro Charge car in Justin Bond, and Lyle was in a turbo. So maybe in the quarter mile configuration, the NHRA might have very well stumbled upon where they need to be. We'll see how long it lasts, though. We'll see how long it lasts. Kenneth, he says they got Alcohol Midwest races on YouTube. Yes, they do. Straight Line Media, Kyle Christ, he covers the Midwest Drag Racing Series. He's the videographer out there covering those races. I'm not sure who else may be covering them, but I know Kyle Christ is covering those races, Straight Line Media. So if you're interested in seeing what the Midwest Drag Racing Series is all about, check them out at Straight Line Media. Also, they, from now and again, then and now, they have coverage from MAV TV, and you can even see it live on Facebook, as was their first event. All right, very quickly, if NHRA Pro Mod goes 8th mile, you're getting 40 cars to most events. Just saying. That may very well be true. But at that point, if you're getting 40 cars for qualifying to a 16-car field, how are you going to pay those guys leaving home? And are you just using Pro Mod to add to and cover up the issues elsewhere and have a better show on Friday and Saturday? Think about that. Think about that. All right, guys, let's take the time. We're going to take a break. And right after the break, we're going to have Wes on. We're going to talk to him about the championship run and all things 632 and what is going on in that world and get his opinion on some of the things that we were talking about. Thank you all for chiming in. Love the discussion. Love it when it can carry over with the guest. And we're about to do that right now. A word on, well, where you can get Monday Morning Racer swag.
Yes, you can now get Monday Morning Racer swag. Shop SpeedShark.com, Team SpeedShark. They can hook you up with Monday Morning Racer apparel. Not only Monday Morning Racer apparel, we're talking about apparel for Johnny Placino, Camry Caruso, Frankie the Madman Taylor, and more to come soon. Check them out at ShopSpeedShark.com or at your next race at the SpeedShark trailer.
Wes, man, how's it going?
Awesome. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, doing great. Well, look, I know I know some folks, some teammates have already been chiming in, and they mentioned about following the team there on Facebook. So, look, plug everything.
Yeah.
Where can folks follow you? Where can they get information? And I'll go ahead and give you the platform too. Just go ahead and say thank you to whoever you need to say thank you to.
Sure. First and foremost, thanks to all my team and all the fans that follow us. The number one place to get us right now is our Facebook page. Jerry from Redline Media, he's been covering us since Bowling Green. He's been doing a great job of getting some more content out there, trying to get some more real-time information on there. And hopefully in the future, we can continue to do more along that line. Of course, my parents, my family, everybody for supporting us throughout this year, and my crew. Obviously, we couldn't have done it. Great article with Troy. Hey, Troy, there he is, in Drag Illustrated. So it's great that others are getting the recognition for the success we've had. And then, of course, my stepdad and mother, Brenda and David Swallow, they're really the backing behind all this. We couldn't have done it without them, and they support us through all this. So they're definitely our number one fans.
All right.
For all our
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, thanks for the support of the PDRA. They put together a great program. We're always happy to be a part of that. And, I don't know that there's a better place to race. I haven't raced everywhere, but we really enjoy it there. It's a family atmosphere. Colin got on there, him and his brother, they follow us around to some of the local races of them. And it's great, getting the kids in there, getting kids in the car. And those are really enjoyable moments. When I go back home and reflect on a race, those are a lot of the moments I sit back and smile at.
Stellar, man. Yeah, PDRA is got it going on, and you and your team, y'all obviously have it going on. The last time I had you on the show earlier this year, we were about to roll into testing at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Well, you made some statements on that show that night that you're like, wow, like the West Bucks and the Mike Carpenters and the Nates, they're not picking me, and they need to be picking me. And you said you're going to go out there and make some statements. And well, you definitely made a statement at Kentucky because you went a 4:10 with a 5 and set the record.
Yeah.
Well, you own now the ET record, and you own also the mile per hour record from Darlington. That's 174.55.
Right.
Look, after that, after picking up more wins, like that win there at Maple Grove and getting the championship, do you feel like you made your statement and you're like, pick me, don't pick anyone else?
I don't know. I kind of like being the underdog sometimes. So I got a different perspective. It's it's one of those things I think a lot in my head. And, to be on top, you start to wonder about what it's like to be elsewhere. But of course, that's where everybody wants to be. So, not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to like what you're doing. And that just comes with the territory. That's we call that the penalty of leadership. And we just got to remember to go out there and have a good time. And, keep chasing that. It's hard to stay hungry when you're on top, as they say. So you got to continue to challenge yourself and find ways to have fun, because when you accomplish your goals, sometimes it's difficult to, continue finding what's next.
So you kept the pressure on, and even though earlier this year it looked like there was going to be a championship battle in 632, as there were in other classes like Pro Boost and Extreme Pro Stock, you kept slowly tightening the grip and putting more of a stranglehold on the competition. When was the moment that your team, you all felt like, we got this and this is ours, no one else can touch it? And I don't even mean just the mathematical part of it, but what was a run? What was a race? What was a win that you and your group was like, this is ours, nobody can touch us?
Well, I think at certain races, there were instances. I know, like at Maple Grove, we were running real well, and there was some difficult conditions there, and we kind of knew going into it that we were running real well. We were real consistent, and we were watching the rest of the field, and we just felt like we had that race. But we don't get like that often. As far as the championship goes, it wasn't until we clinched it and we were battling some issues. The rest of the class really stepped up, especially in the later half of the year. As you mentioned, in the beginning of the year, we knew we were going to be challenged. We came out, Jim Polkarski came out, ran real fast, and at the end of the 2020 season, he came out and put the pressure on. I think he won the first race, and we knew he was going to be a top contender. And then after he left the class, there was a bit of, there were still some fast cars, but there really wasn't somebody who was going head to head contending with us for a couple races. And Daryl Stewart, his program really came around. And then at the end of the season, a lot of the single system cars really came around. Amber Franklin came out, Chris Holdorf started running well. And so it kind of shows where the class is at rule wise. There's a lot of it's real close racing. There's a lot of parity there, I think. So we really don't let our guard down. We take it one run at a time, and we don't ever, we've had good luck go our way. We've had good luck go against us. So we never let our guard down. We never try and get overconfident. We never think we have it.
Yes, Amber Franklin coming into the class and making statements, going deep in rounds at races. And you mentioned Chris, earlier in the year, I was like, wow, where is he? What is going on? And they made improvements and come on toward the end. What do you think about, Amber and some of the girl power that's happening in the class, and Amber in particular, bringing out the original Jungle Rat? Do you think with all that backing, Dad, Tommy, and then also the exposure, do you think it's going to be, more challenging for you as a competitor, but you think it's also good for the class as a whole in bringing more exposure to what 632 is?
Absolutely. I think it's good as a whole. I love to see, that's a beautiful car. Great performing car. That's another combination like ours. It's a Bickel chassis, Musi engine. It's a proven winning combination. And of course, Franklin camp, they're not new to this. So we expected them to come out and do well. And I don't know if they exceeded their own expectations, but I knew they'd be a front runner. I didn't know they'd run as well as they did. And, that thing is running real well. And I don't even know that they've scraped the potential of it.
Definitely, yes. It's going to 632. I could see the potential next year of being another class. Keep your eye on. I mean, like right now, Pro Nitrous, I still think going into next year, Jim, he's heavily favored. But as you've mentioned just on the show here, some people made some gains, and I know during the off season, y'all want to make some gains to continue to be at the top of this particular class. So going into the shop and going into the off season, what are you all looking at in your program to make it better and stay up on the competition? Like, for example, when the PDRA is done, where does 632 go? Do y'all have a place at the Snowbirds, or can y'all go run Florida like all the other door slammers? What's that look like?
Yeah, luckily 632 started in Florida. It's got a real big following in Florida. They usually have full fields, sometimes upwards of 20 cars. So, and we're fortunate enough to be able to make the time. My parents have a house down in Florida that we kind of home base out of. The family likes going there in the winter time. Coming from Michigan, it's always nice to get some sun. So yeah, our plan is to hit up all the winter events down there. And we're even planning on hosting a race down at Immokalee. David, my stepfather's been involved there with Ralph Esther, and they actually had to move the track 300 feet to accommodate the growth of an airport next door. So we helped with that. We want to continue to support that drag strip in the 632 class. But, there's some talk about next year for PDRA. The rumor is it's going to be a 632 single jet only. I'm not sure what other combinations, but they're definitely talking about eliminating the combination I run. So I've got some mixed feelings about that. Obviously, with where the single system cars are running, there were 3 of them running faster than us at the last race. So I don't feel like that's a slow combination, but it's definitely different than what we're used to, and it's a little bit different than what we think we like. But who knows, if we go out there and we're able to reset the record or something, I'm sure we'll ask ourselves, why didn't we do it sooner?
Is that possibility going to that configuration? Is that something that would be brand new completely for you and your team? Is it something that was popular in the past? What would be the learning curve there, if at all?
I don't think there's going to be, I'd be naive to say I know. And I would tread with caution going in. But honestly, I feel like we would be a contender. I don't feel like there's going to be much of a learning curve. We've been working with Benny LaRosa, my teammate, on his single system car. We've struggled a little bit there, but I think we'll come out, and we got a good car. We've got a good engine program. We got good people around us, and I don't think it's going to take very much time for us to go right to the front.
Well, speaking of the team, Shameless Racing. So Shameless Racing, Pro Outlaw 632 sponsored the class on your car, on the Green Mopar, on Johnny Pacino's car. I'm sure I'm missing some cars.
Sure.
What is Shameless Racing? Like, is it a shop? Is it a confederation of racers? Like, what is this thing?
Well, it kind of grew organically, and what it represents today, where the Shameless comes from, is just our support of the trades. Some of us work in professional fields. But most of us that do cut our teeth on the trades. I worked in machine shops and doing welding since I was in high school, as well as a lot of other guys on our crew. They work with their hands. My stepfather, David, he did the same thing. He went into corporate, and but he started, working in machine shops. So that's something we support. We don't feel like you should be ashamed to go into the trades. You can make a good living. It's a great skill set to have, even if you choose to further your education and go into something else beyond that. We feel that it's a good foundation to have. It builds good character, good work ethic, and a good understanding for mechanics, and that ties into racing.
All right, so the car, we've talked about that, possibly even a change in configuration of its power system on the engine and what could possibly come down the pipeline and rules. We've talked about the team. You yourself, what are some things in the off season, maybe even looking towards and after some of these one-off events, that you want to improve in your driving and yourself as a person? Or do you feel like you're on the top of your game and you've got it figured out right now?
I actually feel pretty good as a driver right now. I've really improved. I can't tie it to too much. There's been a few lifestyle changes I've made. Just trying to be the best father I can be the healthiest person I can be, thinking of some longer term goals as far as my health. So maybe it's attributed to that, but I've been cutting pretty good lights. And better than I have in the past. So as far as a driver, as long as I continue to do that, and I don't really plan on doing anything other than working on my health. I plan on losing some weight here shortly and just trying to focus on my life and making that as good as it can be. And I always say, if you've got a clear conscience, that makes you a better racer. So if you can take a lot of the worries out of your life, allows you to have a clear conscience when you're out there on the starting line. I'm not thinking about anything else. And I think sometimes that plagues people. If you got turmoil in your life and you go to that starting line, it's going to be real hard. I always say to people that maybe don't drag race, so you could say the word ice cream while you're trying to cut a light, and it's going to knock you down quite a bit. It's called a reaction time for a reason. And so you've just got to have a clear mind. You've got to have clear focus, and you got to react.
Well, you mentioning that, it makes so much sense. Obviously, in drag racing, I think drivers are always like, how can I lose some more weight? Because weight plays into so much ETs and speed. And if you're down on weight, you can move weight around in that car and change its driving characteristics. And then you mentioned the conscience. I think you saying that is true and important. If it's clear and you don't have things weighing on you, you can go out there and breathe easy and drive. It's stressful enough competition, even though we love it. And I think a great study is, for example, Jeff Gordon. When he went through his divorce many, many years ago with his first wife, you saw his performance go down because that was so taxing on him. So, yeah, a driver with a clean and free mind can be a effective driver for sure. Well, Wes, look, great to hear that you feel like you're on the top of your game. Certainly in winning a championship, it proves that you are. I want to swing back around to what I was rambling about before we brought you on to the show with everybody with making comments. And you even mentioned and alluded to it earlier with your team and doing more with social media. What do you think's out there on the table for drag racing, and maybe specifically 632, to showcase the class, showcase your teams, and showcase the competitors in this great heads-up door slammer configuration?
Sure. Just like you mentioned, Kyle Christ, he's done a great job. He puts out great content out there. He works the PDRA. I watch him Midwest Drag Race as well, getting that stuff on YouTube. But really, I think getting more interviews in the pits and trying to get a behind-the-scenes look. As you mentioned, when you're at the race, you can't watch another motorsports event, and you can go back later and watch it. There's so much that goes on that's outside of the racetrack that a lot of people don't see, and I think a lot of fans would enjoy to see, as well as capturing some of the raw emotion. If we could get some top-end interviews, I think you would see a lot of things at the end of that track that, you're not going to see the drivers in the pits maybe amped up, but when they win on a hole shot or win a tight race or clinch a championship, if you can catch that driver getting out of the car while he's still amped up or she's still amped up, you're going to catch a side of that person and that sport and that team that is it's probably a bit rare, and you're capturing, pure joy in the moment and pure energy in the moment. So, as well as like you guys already mentioned, the YouTube, the Instagram, the Twitter, trying to get to these different platforms. Facebook's pretty much all I do. I have a Instagram and a TikTok account, but I barely know how to use them. Jerry's come on board. He's done some more stuff with us, but he does a great job with the videos. But really what I'd like to see for everybody, but first for me personally in our team, is some real-time results. So I talked to Jerry about, can we get a run and right after the run post it for the fans that aren't there, so in real time they can see how that run went, and they can kind of see what's going on. Zooming out a little bit for the class, if we can get some real time, obviously the stuff's on broadcasted, but I don't know what the legalities of it are. I know Flow Racing probably has some rights to it, and there's only so much you can do, but getting that content out there, and then like you said, getting the content out there where people can watch it later, and there's a chance for fans to catch on without being live or without being at the event.
I think all good ideas there, and I agree with you on the top end interviews. I'm in discussion with an outfit of possibly doing some of those type of things and figuring out how to do more pit reporting with them. I do know there are tech issues with top end interviews and doing it live, but I have even wondered, like, how can I do it and still film the race? And that's just it. I need more Lees. I need more Monday morning racers to go out and get all this content, because there is so much at a PDRA race. Because I mean, man, I decide to film from Pro Nitrous to 632 most of the time.
Right.
And yet when I do that, I'm missing out on Top Dragster and Top Sportsman, and they are great classes in the PDRA. I mean, it's insane what Top Dragster is in the PDRA, but I'm like, man, I got to take a break.
Right.
Or if I'm going to go get somebody in the pits, I got to have time to do that. So it's definitely a personnel and time thing. And as well as, it comes back to a money thing. And yet it's this vicious cycle, because if we want more people to market with us, we got to have the content out there. But we got to have someone to get the content, to get it out there for the marketers to even see it. So it's a struggle. It's a fight. And especially for a class that may not be on the top of the card and is more mid-card, even though it's a great class, that can definitely be a challenge. I can see that. Where do you think is a place and an opportunity, and there might be a race out there for all I know, but do you think 632 could and should have like a standalone event possibly, and it bring all of them together, have some big money on it, that type of thing?
Oh, that's kind of what we're in the talks about with, we're hoping to put together a race. February 19th is the tentative date at Immokalee. And we're really looking forward to making the 632 the headlining class. We're in the early stages of planning that. I don't have a lot of other classes lined up, but in order to keep us the headlining class, I have to be a bit strategic of how I plan that, and how we go about who we invite and what type of class and how we promote it. So that's one that we feel like we can put on. We've done that in the past. We've thrown a couple shootouts. As far as us becoming more of a premier class, I know there's PDRA does a great job with including us with the pro classes, but as far as advancement, you've got the other classes, obviously Pro Boost and Pro Nitrous, we're not really close to, and that's a whole nother level. But Pro Stock, we run pretty close to Pro Stock. So, depending on what they did with the rules, we could probably run as fast, if not faster than them. But, it's just about where the rule makers want to see the class and what the purpose of it is. I can see things from a lot of different perspectives, and I respect them all. And I like the idea that it can be a entry-level door slammer class for people that want to go race pro stock afterwards with the NA program. So obviously that in 632 has its limits, and whatever the lowest limit car combination is, you have to police the rest of the class to that. So as far as making it the headline class, I hope that we can do that at Immokalee, and I really look forward to playing that event. I hope we can get some good participation down there. The Florida class is strong down there, the Florida guys, and hopefully we can bring some attention to that raceway. And I'm not real familiar with the race scene in the very south of Florida. Maybe we can draw some people up from Miami. I'm not real sure, but that's kind of our first poke at it, and we'll see how it goes.
When we made the trek to Norwalk, there were many other 632 cars that showed up that I was unaware of. So there definitely seems to be a Midwest scene for the 632. Where else do you think this class in particular could expand to? Do you think it has a place and could have a place in the Midwest Drag Racing Series? What about the Northeast Outlaw Pro Mod Association? Are there some other places that it could find a home along with the PDRA and not be a conflict?
I think that'd be tough, actually. And you've seen it a little bit with the Mountain Motor Pro Stock stuff, where I think I'm going to draw a blank here on who else was putting together a race program. But with the NHRA, with the PDRA, and then the third race venue that was potentially going to do it, they were dividing the racers up. And so sometimes it's good to have a central place, so you can get the car count, you can get the top competing cars all in one place, because otherwise you might have the 3 or 4 or 5 top guys all going to different places, not necessarily dodging each other, but the fans aren't going to get as good of a race potentially. I know with NMCA, they have the Nitrous Pro Street class. That's where a lot of the other guys from Milan Dragway, my home track, where they came from, that you saw at Norwalk. And a lot of them run NMCA. That series is a little bit closer to us for a lot of their events. They go to Norwalk, Indianapolis. I believe they were in Cordova at Martin. So, and that's kind of a good mix too, because as of right now, that class isn't running as fast as the 632 class in PDRA. So for some of those guys that don't have the same program going on, they can go over there and be competitive and still have a good time, and still know that they're going to make the show, versus sometimes if they make the trip over to PDRA, they may think they might not make the show, or if they're running 440s, 430s, they're not going to be able to compete.
Wes, look, very insightful. Just as last time, I want to say thank you for your time right here on Between the Slicks, and I'm going to leave you with this question and let you answer it in the West way. To all your competitors for 2022, what do you got to say, Wes?
Oh, well, I don't want to ruin the surprises, but we've got something in the works, and we're just going to come out and race ourselves. We talk about that all the time. We're out there racing our own car, racing our own track, and that in itself makes us competitive. And I think sometimes it gets in people's heads because they know that we don't make mistakes. So we're going to go out there. We're going to try and execute flawlessly, and I hope you all do the same.
Boom. There it is. Definitely looking forward to seeing 632 back on the track wherever it is. Wes, thank you for your time. Congratulations on your championship, and hope you do well in some of these upcoming one-off events.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Folks, Wes Distefano, champion, pro, outlaw 632, Shameless Racing Pro Outlaw 632 in the Professional Drag Racers Association, the PDRA. By the way, if you have not checked out a PDRA event, you need to. I know even some folks that watch this show and are fans of the Monday Morning Racer, they would chime in every now and then and be like, I don't know about that. And they showed up and they're like, yeah, I know about that. And that's some good stuff. So you need to check out a PDRA race for sure. Also, before I let you go, there is another drag racing platform that you need to experience and experience in person and live, and that is the Southeast Gassers Association. They have one more race for 2021, and as of right now, Quayne Stott, the owner and promoter of it, he put out the news that upcoming November 5th and 6th, Shelby, North Carolina, Shadyside Dragway, that it will be the number one most attended by racers, competitors, cars ever for a Southeast Gassers Association. Over 90 vehicles have been put in for the last race of 2021 for the Southeast Gassers Association. It is my hope and my plan to be there, get the action, and then continue to have a weeks of content with champions from the PDRA and the Southeast Gassers Association, because there's only A gas, B gas, C gas, super stock, plenty of classes from the Southeast Gassers Association right here on Between the Slicks. As I say, the most diverse drag racing talk show that there is. Be sure to join me right here once again next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Between the Slicks. I'm the Monday Morning Racer, and until that next time, God bless and keep the pedal